On today's recipe video, I'm going to be making my easy vegan chicken taquitos made with jackfruit. They turn out delicious every time. Perfect for your upcoming Super Bowl party. I hope you can stick around and see exactly how these delicious taquitos are made. To get started on our easy vegan chicken taquitos, we're going to be using just a few ingredients, and that is 1 can of young green jackfruit. Now we're going to use a little trick that I have to shred it up, and that will be with my food processor, but we'll get to that in a second. But 1 can, most of the time these cans are around 18 to 20 ounces. And then we also have 10 corn tortillas. Now these are just regular corn, water, and salt tortillas and lime. So just a few ingredients. Sometimes they'll have stabilizers in them. I've had a couple questions about where I get mine. We have a few international grocery stores that carry them, and they are great. And they come in big packs, like 50. So we can use a lot of them. You can make a ton for, say, a Super Bowl party that might be coming up here in the very near future. We're also going to season our filling, the jackfruit, with a teaspoon of chili powder and then a 1/4 of a teaspoon of cumin. So we're gonna keep that pretty simple. We want it to be a good recipe where we can add some things in. You can add some things in if you would like, but this is really just the base recipe that I love using. But to get started, to get our tortillas able to roll without cracking, you'll see now these come out. I keep them in the fridge, most people do. Even if you don't, I would recommend warming them up a little bit because they are not very pliable now. So what I have here is a baking sheet with some parchment paper, and I am just going to lay the tortillas down on there. It does not, again, need to be in any particular order. We're not baking them off here. All we're doing is warming them up. And I have the oven set to 400 degrees. Now we're gonna put these in for 4 to 5 minutes. We do not want them to get crispy. All we want is for them to just soften up to where we can roll them up nicely. So I'm gonna get these in, and we'll be back here in just a second to get started on the filling for our taquitos. So while our shells are warming up a little bit, I'm going to bring over my food processor here. Now, a trick that I really love using is to take my food processor's dough blades. You can see here they're not sharp. Put them in there and shred up the jackfruit just like you would, say, another protein source, but we're gonna do that with the jackfruit. Now I'm gonna run this over to the sink real quick. I just open it up and drain it off. We don't want much liquid in there. We want this to stay pretty dry so that the taquitos cook well, so they don't get soggy, and because the liquid in the jackfruit isn't that particularly tasty. It has a little bit of a flavor to it, so we want to get that liquid out. So I'm going to go drain these. I'll be back here in just a second. All right, we've got that drained off. Now, one thing I did forget to mention is we are going to be using, and this is optional, but I do find that it helps, 1 tablespoon of a flour. Now, you could use whole wheat flour, oat flour, it really doesn't matter, but what we're gonna do is add that in once we blend up the jackfruit, and that's gonna help soak up a little bit of that moisture so that it cooks a little bit better in the oven. So we're gonna open this up all the way. Now, again, I have drained that. We're going to set them in there. Now, I just put it on there on a low setting, and since it's not the blades in there, it's not really going to slice it up. It should just shred it, and we'll let that run for probably around 15 to 45 seconds, and you'll be able to tell when you get that shredded consistency. So I'm going to get that going. And perfect timing because the oven just turned, or the timer just went off for our tortillas. So I'm gonna get those out. And that was 4 minutes in there. And they have softened up nicely. We didn't get them too crispy, so that's exactly what we want. Now I'm gonna go ahead, take this off, and we're gonna mix it up. I'm gonna grab a bowl real quick, and then we can mix this up with our seasonings. All right, we've got our bowl here. Let's set those over there. Now I'm going to take my jackfruit, I'm going to move this out of the way there, and I'm just going to go ahead and move that, transfer it in to this glass bowl here. You should be able to see that most of the jackfruit has been nice and mixed up. I need to grab a spoon real quick. I'm back and I have a mixing spoon, and make sure you go and give a major shout out to the Midwest Vegan Queen for coming up and giving me these for Christmas, these awesome engraved mixing spoons with plant-based Gabriel on it. Big shout out to my sister. But we're just going to take this, our shredded jackfruit, get that in there, and as you can tell, it's shredded up nicely. We've got a really good consistency there. Now I am just going to go ahead, take my spices. So we have our cumin, got my chili powder, and then we have our flour, which I'm going to add in last. So I'm going to mix this all together here. Shouldn't take too long, just a good little mix. Okay, and now I'm going to add that flour in just to soak up any moisture or any excess moisture that we might have in those taquitos, because we do not want soggy taquitos. We want nice and crispy taquitos. That looks good. So we have this here. I have my baking sheet. I'm going to move these tortillas right here. And we've got our first one. Now, it's going to be maybe a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half in there. We're just going to set it on here. Try to get it as tight as possible. Give it a good roll. And there we go, a nicely formed taquito. I'm just going to set that to the side. Now I'm going to get to work on the rest of them and probably zoom through them. And there is our last taquito. So we've got them all rolled up there. I like to kind of put them in there together on this first little bake. I'm going to move this to the side. And so we've got our taquitos ready. Now I'm going to put these in the oven. Again, we've got it set for 400 degrees. Now they're going to go in for 8 minutes at the start, and then we're going to take them out and we'll put them in for another 8 to 10 minutes. But we'll be back in about 8 minutes when their first side has been cooked. So we'll see in just a second. Our 8-minute timer just went off, so let's check how these taquitos look after the first bake. They look awesome. We're not getting any splitting, which is perfect. They've got a good little bit of crisp up there on the top, but nothing too dark. Now, if you do not have fingers that can sustain the heat, I would recommend getting a utensil, but I'm just going to go ahead and flip these. Now, the way these are looking, they are going to need 10 minutes, but I do recommend 8 to 10 minutes on that second turn. So make sure that you're checking at 8 just to be sure, but I can tell these are going to need probably 10 minutes in there at 400 degrees. So I'm going to get these back in the oven, and then I'll see you guys in just a second. Our timer just went off. I'm going to check these guys out here. Whew, the smell is deliciously fantastic. And they look like they've turned out perfectly. Let's pull one up here. A really good crispness on them. Can hear that there. I think I'm gonna let them, I can't ever let them cool off. I've gotta go ahead and give them a try. I'm gonna blow on a little bit. But a really great recipe. One that if you do feel like you need to leave them a little bit longer, you can. You know, they might need a few more minutes if you wanted to, but for me, these are perfect. You just want to keep an eye on them, make sure they're not burning. While I was out, or while they were cooking, I went ahead and got some of my favorite salsa. So let's go ahead and give her a little bite. That is so good. I mean, guys, I always tell you, I really hope you give it a try, but I really hope you give this one a try. Super Bowl's coming up, the big game, big party's coming up. This one is going to be a hit. Now, I did do my easy vegan taquitos a few days ago using refried beans. I would recommend, if you're doing a big platter, do 50 of these, 50 of the easy vegan ones, or 25, however big your party is. I think these are going to suit any guest that you might have. I really am a big fan of these. I hope you give them a try. If you do like this video, if you go ahead and give it a share, it really helps. Make sure you hit that like button, because every like and share this video gets, the more people it reaches who can get to see how easy, delicious, and simple a whole food plant-based diet can truly be. And if you're on Facebook or YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button to get notified whenever I post new recipe videos. And as always, this recipe, my past and future recipes, can be found at plantbasedgabriel.com. And make sure you hit the subscribe button when you get on the website so you do get notified whenever the full recipe comes out. But I really hope you guys give this one a try. Let me know how it goes on Facebook, and I will hopefully see you very soon. And I'm going to keep eating these because they are fantastic.